Hi, humans. This time I only have two relatively short cases. This will be a short one. We've seen a whole bunch of cases from Collection of Strange Conditions, a Qing Dynasty book, and so here are two more. Yeah. Okay. So somebody named Jin treated someone else's 16-year-old daughter. So when they mention some doctor, I try to look them up. I Google them and I couldn't find anything about him. I don't know what time period. I don't know anything. Anyway, so this doctor is treating a 16-year-old daughter who was betrothed, who was engaged to be married to a wealthy family. Notice they don't talk about being betrothed to a particular person. She's betrothed to the family. That's how it was back then. Anyway, so Mr. Shu was becoming poorer by the day, and that made the daughter worry. So she couldn't eat or sleep. In part, she may have been worried, caring about her family and her father, but also that could jeopardize the marriage. You know, she was going to marry into a wealthy family, but if they realized that her family was losing status and there's like gifts that have to be given back and forth between the two families and stuff like that. So, this could jeopardize her wedding. So she couldn't eat or sleep. She lay in bed for a long time without closing her eyes. Um, so at some point, Mr. Shu went to town to sell silk. I guess he was a silk merchant, but he was still out. He hadn't come back yet, and his daughter was lying in bed. And she said to herself, "Oh, the top price for this amount of silk is 4.8 chen, not even 5 chen. So cheap. My poor father, he won't make very much money. The price is so low that he'll get for his silk." Her servant was there and said, "How do you know what the price of silk is? You're unmarried girl who stays in the inner quarters, in the woman's quarters. You don't go to town. How do you know what the price is?" The girl replied, "I followed my father into town just now." So obviously she was lying in the bed. She didn't physically follow the father, but somehow psychically she followed him. So when the father returned, then the doctor first asked how much was silk, and Mr. Shu said the same number that she said. It's like, whoa, how did she know the price of silk today? And so the doctor said, "Oh, this is her Hun separating. Her Hun followed you into town and saw this." And he called it a disease rather than an ability. So he used herbs like ginseng and huanglian and dragon's teeth longture to calm her hun, and she returned to normal. So this is kind of odd. She's got a special ability, and they do stuff to suppress it, but that's how it was. Anyway, there are Shu Wei, a different person named Shu, but a doctor named Shu Wei does talk about longture for cases such as this, dragon teeth and so forth. I don't think he used the other herbs. So that case isn't here, but we'll do that case sometime. That's an interesting case. Okay, so there, if you don't want someone to be psychic, then here's some herbs you can give them. Okay, the second one for today, somebody named Chen. And again, I Googled this doctor, but couldn't find anything about him. He treated a woman who was sick with Ni, which is, some special terms, but basically what it means, loss of consciousness. Her pulse was hidden, like so deep and so small, it was hard to find her pulse. And she didn't revive for a day and night. She'd been unconscious for 24 hours. She couldn't take herbs because she was unconscious. Chen saw her and said, "Oh, she can live. This isn't fatal. She can live." He needled her hand and foot yang ming channels and she returned a little bit. And then he applied moxa to do 20, and she woke up. She initially cried a lot, and then she said this is her experience while she was unconscious. Several people who were holding violent weapons were chasing me. So I hid in a chest. She's like hiding, and there are these robbers or violent men, and she's hiding in a chest. Of course, this isn't what happened in the physical body because she was lying in bed unconscious. And so she's hiding in a chest, and she could hear a child crying. And the child tried 100 ways to prevent me from coming out. The child didn't want her to get out of the chest. And, that sounds benevolent. He wants her to be safe and so forth, and not go out where the men could get her. But I heard them beating on the chest, and I could see a little brightness through the cracks. And soon I felt fire burning through the lid. So I leaped out, and the doctor thought the beating on the chest was the acupuncture he was giving her, and the burning of the chest was moxa that he was doing, because he did needling on the hand and foot yang ming channels, maybe li4 and stomach 36, I don't know, something like that. And the moxa was on do 20. So he's interpreting what she saw while she was unconscious as actually, the treatment. But somehow the child was pulling her back, and she was frightened. But once there was fire, she felt she had to jump out, and then she came back to life. Okay, interesting story. Well, I told you it's a short one. That's it for now.